Good evening. I call to order the Lake Havasu City Council regular meeting on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We'll have our invocation by Father Chauncey from Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance from the WAVE CTE Fire Service Program. Father Chauncey.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord God, we give you thanks for your goodness, and we look to you who are all good. You who created us in your great wisdom and give us life, and you come to us to lead us. So Lord God, help us to look to you, help us to trust you, lead and guide our minds and our hearts. We ask, as you have shown us your love, that we would show brotherly love and consideration to each other and lift each other up in this community, not only for the glory of your name, Lord God, but so that we might prosper in your gaze. We ask your blessing upon this meeting tonight, all our thinking, all our speaking, all our listening, all of our deciding. Lord God, keep us within your blessing. We ask this through Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I want to introduce, this is 5 of the students out of the 9 that we have in our class number 1 of the CTE program. These members have gone through the intro to the fire science program over at the high school, which we started in January. We do have a representative, Marcia Becker, that I'm sure you met, is the coordinator for WAVE, and then Gina is our administrator for the program. I'm excited. This is your future right behind me. So we couldn't do it without the community support, the council, mayor, really everybody. This is a good start for the city. So I just want to congratulate them. We have 2 of our seniors here that hopefully will start moving forward with our apprenticeship program. So look forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the roll call. Ms. Williams, if you please call the roll.
Council members Nancy Campbell. Here. David Lane.
Here.
Michelle Lynn. Cameron Moses.
Here.
Jenny Koch. Here. Vice Mayor Jim Dolan.
I am here.
Mayor Kal Sheehy.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda is the call to the public. This is an opportunity where citizens have to address the City Council on matters within the jurisdiction of Lake Havasu City. Your comments would be limited to 3 minutes. There is a light indicator box next to Ms. Williams. Green means you have 3 minutes. Yellow means you have 1 minute remaining, and red means that your 3 minutes is up. If you are here for a specific public hearing item, we do recommend you wait until that portion of the meeting so we can have a two-way conversation. Otherwise, during call to the public, we can just listen intently, but we can actually have a two-way conversation with you. You don't have to sign up for call to the public, but we did have one citizen do so. So we'll start with Christine Simmons, and then it'll open up to anyone else that would like to address the council during call to the public.
Well, hello, and so exciting to see all these young people here. Neat. Aloe, you introduced us to Aloe at your Wednesday Coffee with the Mayor. Very exciting. I was telling the youth about it. $50 million invested here in Havasu for their fast, high-speed internet. But the only thing I have a request is that Brad, the CEO, and Doc, I love them very much, but I found out their routers are made in Malaysia. So I thought, why can't we assemble them here in Lake Havasu? They're investing so much in Havasu. Let's have the routers made here, assembled here, okay? But rather than Malaysia, I'd much rather have a Lake Havasu router in my home than a Malaysian one. All right. Now, I filled my gas tank, and I have an old diesel. And when I got my diesel was the cheapest gas. Now, I'm paying the same prices that our truckers are. And I don't get paid for that. I know they're paying for it. It's really expensive. Thank you, Biden. So my suggestion is I don't want Russian gas. I don't want Venezuelan gas. I want American gas in my tank. So let's turn the spigot on, make us energy efficient again. Now, the border, I'm very concerned. We're getting fentanyl and all things, and I worry about our youth. We're losing young people due to this. And as a teacher, we had an issue with bilingual education. These children that are coming are non-English speakers. They need to be given the gift of English. Where I taught, they had Armenian teachers, Korean teachers, Spanish teachers. I was the EEO teacher, and I was like the little United Nations. I had everybody that didn't fit into the other categories. So imagine all the children on the playground playing, the bell rings, and they line up with this teacher, that teacher, this teacher. We segregated them. We weren't a melting pot, segregated them for 6 years. And then we wonder why in junior high they don't eat and talk together. So my thing is, if we're going to be teaching them, let's give them intensive English so they can thrive and survive in America. All right. The other thing is, I was so disappointed in women and people shouting in front of our Supreme Court. Women today have so many choices. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Women didn't have the choices they have today. So if you decide you don't want to have children or you don't want to have a baby right now in your life, look at the choices you have. I mean, you have birth control, you have IUDs, you have hormone implants. You can pick a mate that's fixed. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. You don't have to have a baby. And there's even the after pill in case you made a foolish mistake. So choose life over death. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the City Council during call to the public?
Good evening, City Council and Mayor, public. I'm here tonight because there's things I would like to have on the agenda, and I think you guys have a copy of this. It concerns me as a homeowner, a taxpayer, and a citizen who gives back to the community. I'd like to see some of these on the agenda so the public has an idea of what you're seeing and what your decisions are before you vote on it. How many water sources do we have here in town, wells, that are operational, and how many do we have that are not operational? And are you or are you not going to build more water? Because we're in a water crisis, but we seem to don't give a darn, and we need to address that. And realize, I don't know if anybody has seen pictures from Lake Powell, that it's like devastating. Our water comes from there, and they're going to reduce by federal law to reduce their output, which goes into Meade, comes down to us. The way it looks in 2 years, we're not going to be able to put boats in the water. Have you guys thought about that, or what our business is going to do? What's going to happen to our city? It's going to take a nosedive, and we need to, wherever we can, conserve water. You guys, I think, approved 80-some swimming pools last month. That's our drinking water that you're approving to be wasted. I know these people coming from California, they want their pool because they don't want to go to the lake. But we need to conserve where we can for our residents and for our community. And I hope you guys think about that, because it's your decision on how that happens. Okay, now business rates on water are astronomical. They're getting astronomical for the people who are on fixed income, our senior citizens who help build and support this city. And it seems like we're keep adding and adding and adding. When they came here, they had a spouse with them. Some of them, their spouses have passed, so their income is half of what it should be. And we need to help them address that. You guys voted to build a courthouse. On 422, you stated that, David stated that the Mojave County court system asked us to leave. That information was false. I had called and looked at emails and stuff from county. Lake Havasu City went to them and said they wanted to change. We're only paying just over $6,000 a month for the use of that courthouse. And how do you expect to recall that money from our court system when a lot of the cases that you do, you don't even prosecute? There are several cases that have gone to the prosecutor, and that's where it ends. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council call to the public?
Mr. Mayor, before you do that,
Yes.
may I make a clarifying statement? Because I was just accused of lying. I did not lie to the public. We were asked to leave the courthouse. They deconsolidated the Superior Court from the Municipal Court. We were asked to leave and find a courthouse. That's not a lie. That is the truth. Where you got your information, I have no idea. But do not come in here and call me a liar.
Yeah, Ms. Becker?
Hi, I'm Marcia Becker. I'm in charge of the current technical education programs at Lake Havasu High School, and I would like to publicly thank our mayor, Mr. Kalshihi. He came to one of our education professions fundraisers and played dodgeball with our high school kids and some of our teachers, and he helped the teachers bring home a victory. So we are thankful that he came out to support educators and education professions and to support our high school students. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council call to the public?
Sorry, I really apologize. By the way, just for everybody in the room, since I'm not able to do a microphone yet, I just want to say that you are all gifts to this planet, and I really appreciate every one of your lives because, oh my gosh, living and breathing is such a flipping gift, and being able to walk up here is a gift too, by the way. Thank you. I'm Bonnie Toy, and there were no agendas outside because they ran out, and which is a good thing. I really appreciate all the people here. Oops. And I didn't know if the water issue, one of the well water issues, was on the agenda as to whether or not you're spending $300,000 to rent something, and whether or not you actually need to spend that money to rent whatever it is you're going to be renting, if you don't already have other things that could be used in place of that. Also, a few meetings ago, Mrs. Vanderjack spoke. Wonderful teacher, wonderful, amazing teacher. I've learned so much from her. She spoke, and you guys discussed with her about putting on the agenda a discussion about gas gouging prices. But I don't recall seeing that on the agenda, and wondered if we had missed that, or not we, because anybody could have missed it, and maybe I missed it, but I don't remember seeing it on the agenda. And I remember that you had promised her that you would discuss that. And then I think that was my questions for tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. No, yeah. Would anyone else like to address the city council and call to the public? All right, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public and bring it back to council. We'll continue on with our agenda. Item 6 is our consent agenda. Would any of the council members like to remove any of the items on the consent agenda for separate discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to remove, just for further clarification, item number 6.2, 22, sorry, glasses, that's why we have them, right? Okay, 22-3248. Let's see, am I looking at this right? Yeah.
Yes. So item 6.2 on the agenda, you'd like to?
Yes, 6.2, please. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to remove any additional items?
Mayor,
Yeah, Councilmember Koch,
motion?
please.
Move to approve the consent agenda minus item 6.2 as presented.
Oh, there we go.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch, a second from Councilmember Lane. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. All right, we'll now go to item 6.2, which is adopt resolution number 22-3566, repealing resolution number 22-3558, and approving and authorizing the city manager to execute amendment number 1 to lease agreement with Mojave County for municipal court purposes. Ms. Gary or Mr. Tuneman will take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, thank you. This is an item that we acquired this right away from the State
Oh,
Land
Mr.
Department.
Tuneman. Oops. Yeah, we're 6.2, which is the municipal court.
Yeah, shoot.
You're okay.
Right away.
Yeah. So Ms. Gary will, okay.
I did something wrong.
Oh, no, yeah, I think it,
Okay.
when we're not in order, we don't perform as best. Yeah, so, but Ms. Gary?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in February, the City Council approved a lease agreement with the county. So our lease with the county is going to expire in August of this year. And so we did an amendment to just increase it to go a little bit longer to get us through to when the courthouse is done. City approved it. We thought it would go through okay with the county. It got to the county. There was some discussion. They looked at the lease rate. There was various discussions that went back and forth between the city and the county. Ultimately, the county reduced the rate a little bit. So it's coming back to you with a reduced rate. And since you've already approved the last one, now we're repealing what you approved before and now approving the new lease agreement with them. So this increases our time to give us time to get into the new courthouse and also reduces the rate.
Just one quick question.
Yes.
It said either parties could cancel the contract and it's based on a month to month. Is this correct? Did I understand that properly?
We're extending the lease on a month-to-month basis, so it gives us a little flexibility, but either party can terminate upon 180 days notice to the other party.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
the reason we wanted to do it month-to-month, we don't have an exact date when we're going to move into the courthouse. So we wanted to be able to tell them within a reasonable amount of time when we want to terminate the agreement, so we're not paying for it when we're not there. So that was the purpose.
All right, thank you much.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Gary? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Vice Mayor Dolan,
I'd like to make a motion.
please.
I like this. Things coming back in front of us and cheaper. I get used to this. I move to adopt resolution number 22-3566, repealing resolution number 22-3558, and approving amendment number 1 to the lease agreement with Mojave County and authorize the city manager to execute the amendment on behalf of the city.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dolan, a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, which is correspondence, communications, petitions, announcements, and the city manager report. We'll start with item 7.1 is announce vacancies on the Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. Ms. Williams.
Mayor and City Council, there are several vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. The following is a listing of both the current and upcoming vacancies. Board of Adjustment, 2 regular members and 3 alternate members. The Community Resource Coalition, 5 regular members, 2 alternate members. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, 4 regular members and 1 student member. And the Planning and Zoning Commission, 2 regular members and 2 regular members and 2 alternate members. Anyone interested can pick up a packet at City Hall. They are also available on the city's website at lhcaz.gov. The deadline to submit applications is Friday, June 3rd by 5 p.m.
Excellent, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is 7.2, which is the city manager's report. Good evening, Mr. Knudsen.
Hi, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I don't see Representative Biasucci in the audience just yet. I was told that he might join us during this report, and if he does, I will give him an opportunity to update us on some legislative activities. So,
Yeah, he just actually texted me and said he won't be able to make it. He got stuck in
oh no,
Kingman,
okay,
so
gotcha. Okay.
yes.
Well, we'll carry on. Mayor, you proclaimed April 29th as Arbor Day in Lake Havasu City and presented the proclamation at the tree planting ceremony with the Starline 5th grade class in honor of Arbor Day and the celebration of its 150th anniversary. A special thanks to Keep Havasu Beautiful Committee and Air Control Home Systems for their hard work and donations. Also, I'd like to take this time to congratulate Mike Keene, the entire Parks and Recreation Department, and a special thanks to Craig Geary, our field supervisor for Parks Maintenance, and his team for achieving the Tree City USA recognition by meeting the program's 4 requirements, including observance and proclamation for Arbor Day. Trees hold value and importance for our future, and Lake Havasu City has received this award for many years. So if you haven't been by the Island Ball Field, go take a look at all the many trees that were planted on that special day. Mayor Sheehy also proclaimed the week of May 1st through May 7th as the 53rd National Municipal Clerks Week in Lake Havasu City. The Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants and provides the professional link between citizens and the local governing bodies and agencies of government at all levels. We extend our appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Kelly Williams, and her staff, Shannon Davis and Marcella Killis, and to all professional clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. Also on May 7th, you proclaimed that day as Barbara J. Chambers Remembrance Day in honor of her memory and the valued life she lived. Barbara was a cadet nurse training to serve in World War II prior to the end of the war. She had 6 children, 7 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, and 4 great-great-grandchildren. She moved to Lake Havasu City in 1979, served in this community, and continued her career as a nurse for Havasu and Kingman Regional Hospitals well into her 70s. And Mayor Sheehy, you attended the grand opening of a ribbon cutting for Wild Child Motorsports and Hobbies, which is located at their new home on Lake Havasu Avenue. I'd like to congratulate Sergeant Michael Terrioni and Dispatch Lead Ashley Bonds with Lake Havasu City for graduating from the Leadership Lake Havasu program just on May 5th. Both attended a series of courses over the past 9 months, getting to know their community while building skills and enhancing their leadership roles. Their class coordinated a successful community event at the end of the program called Bands and Brews. They raised $23,000 for the Chamber Foundation for Education and Leadership to continue efforts like the leadership program. Those that are interested in joining the next class should contact Kathy Tippett at our local chamber, and that phone number is 855-4115. Under the direction of Chief Palafis and with the approval and support of the Lake Havasu City Council, the Lake Havasu City, the CTE program with the high school created a program just for fire service. We had those kids that were at the led us in the Pledge of Allegiance just earlier tonight. With this program, the Shining Knight Award is given to one senior student from each of the CTE classes who has excelled in their chosen pathway. The criteria to achieve this distinction is based on grades, leadership, teamwork, attendance, and attitude. Jacob Azar Jr. maintained a 95% in the class, completed all of his assignments on time, attended skill days, all while playing 2 different sports. And he is the first one to achieve this award through the fire program, the CTE program. Thank you to Chief Palafis, to Jeannie Gutierrez, and all the Lake Havasu City fire staff that put so much effort into making the fire CTE program class so successful. Great job to Jacob. We'll see you on the team here shortly. Vice Mayor Jim Dolan, you presented a proclamation from Mayor Sheehy to kick off the Kyle Petty Charity Ride on April 30th. Since 1995, 8,650 riders have logged more than 12.4 million cumulative motorcycle miles and raised $19 million for Victory Junction and other children's charities. On this 26th anniversary ride, riders traveled more than 1,500 miles, starting and ending in Phoenix, Arizona, starting and ending in Phoenix, and came through Lake Havasu City. Our residents are proud to be chosen as one of the stops, and we support this great cause. Vice Mayor Jim Dolan also presented certificates to 3 Mojave Community College Lake Havasu City campus students who were selected as All Arizona Academic Team. These include Justin Begay, Adam Romano, and Brooke Porschaska. This award provides tuition scholarships to exceptional Arizona resident community college transfer students based on outstanding academic performance and community service. Congratulations to each one of them. And finally, I have a short video to play. We have 2 senior HIAC members that graduated, are graduating this year from our local high school, and I'd like to hear from them. Of course, HIAC is our advisory board for our youth advisory board for the council.
I am so beyond grateful for the 4 years I've had in being a part of the Havasu Youth Advisory Council. I've gotten to connect with so many new people throughout the city and state and participate in experiences that have made an impact on our community. I've learned how to plan and coordinate events, better my public speaking, and find needs in our community and ways to fill them. These are all things I will take with me to college and in my future career. It has been such an amazing opportunity to grow close with my fellow HIAC members and make some great memories and friends. A huge thank you to the mayor and city council, and of course our advisor, Jerry Bracamani, who has done so much for our council and for helping me grow as a person each year. After high school, I will be attending Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah to study political science. I hope to one day attend law school and become an attorney. I also have plans to serve an 18-month full-time church mission in June of 2023.
The Havasu Youth Advisory Council has offered me so many opportunities throughout high school that I will forever be grateful for. HIAC has taught me communication skills, how to write professional emails, and how to connect with adults in our community, which will be needed in my future career endeavors. By being in the Havasu Youth Advisory Council, I was able to help plan and execute projects for the youth in our community that I was passionate about, such as mental health awareness and working closely with the Havasu Community Health Foundation food bank. I am so thankful for the memories made and the connections I have made with the City Council. I want to give a special thank you to Jerry Bracamani and Mayor Cal Sheehy for providing me with this amazing opportunity for these past 4 years. Next year, I plan on attending Northern Arizona University to major in nursing and pursue a career in pediatric oncology.
We're obviously very proud of those 2. They've accomplished so much in their last few years with HIAC, and we wish them the best. Congratulations on their graduation. Mayor and Council, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8, our public hearings. Item 8.1 is a Series 7 beer and wine liquor license for Havasu Brewing Company, LLC at 2198 Mcculloch Boulevard. Ms. Williams.
Mayor and City Council, Raul Ballas has applied for a Series 7 beer and wine bar liquor license for Havasu Brewing Company, LLC, located at 2198 Mcculloch Boulevard. All posting requirements have been met, all fees have been paid, and no objections were received. The location is properly zoned for a Series 7 liquor license. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also available tonight to answer any questions from the council.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council for the applicant or Ms. Williams? All right, seeing none, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion?
Councilmember Campbell, yes.
I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control approve a Series Number 7 beer and wine bar liquor license for Havasu Brewing Company, LLC, 2198 Mcculloch Boulevard.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Campbell and a second from Councilmember Lane. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 8.2 is a Series 7 beer and wine liquor license for Dos Amigos at 2231 Mcculloch Boulevard. Ms. Williams.
Mayor and City Council, Harriet McLaren has applied for a Series 7 beer and wine bar liquor license for Dos Amigos, located at 2231 Mcculloch. All posting requirements have been met, all fees have been paid, and no objections were received. The location is properly zoned for a Series 7 liquor license. Also happy to answer any questions on this application, and the applicant is also in attendance tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council of the applicant or Ms. Williams? All right, seeing none, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Yeah, Councilmember Lane?
I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve a series number 7 beer and wine bar liquor license for Dos Amigos, 2231 Mcculloch.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Lane and a second from Councilmember Koch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 8.3 is adopt ordinance number 22-1286, approving a planned development rezone, amending the approved development plan for 1975 Daytona Drive tract 2313 Block 1, Lot 1 in the single-family residential plan development district for a school building and a multi-purpose facility. Mr. Morris.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you. A little background information. Here's the area map for the property. It's about 8 acres. It's located on Daytona Drive, just east of Mulberry Avenue, near Green Tree Drive. It's home to right now to 3 buildings, a church building, an educational building, and a pavilion that's under construction. The zoning for the property is currently R1 PD. It required the PD approval because it requires a PD amendment for this to the new zoning district because it has 3 buildings that were originally approved as part of the original PD approval for the church, and the church is adding additional buildings. The properties around that subject property are all zoned R1 single-family residential. Here's the previously approved plan. On February of this year, the City Council approved a plan development amendment to allow 2 additional buildings on the property. They were included a school building and a gymnasium as shown on this previously approved plan. The approval was based on this site plan that was submitted at that time, which showed the 2 separate buildings. The proposed site plan that's before you today is required because it's it's deemed a major change from the 2 separate buildings. They've been combined into one proposed building, and the location's a little bit different than the original approval. I'll zoom in a little bit more here. So here we're zoomed into this property. The letter of intent and the site plan submitted with the request shows the existing church building, again, the educational building back behind it, and a pavilion in the front there under construction. It also shows this additional proposed almost 27,000 square foot building that's proposed to be built in 2 phases. The new building includes a 13,000 square foot school as phase 1 and a 14,000 square foot addition with additional classrooms and multi-purpose facility as phase number 2. The building is in the southwest area of the property, about 50 feet from the rear property lines of the abutting single-family lots to the northwest. The proposed building will not exceed 30 feet in height. Exterior building elevations for the building were not provided at this point. A little more information. Parking calculations provided with the request indicate a total of 325 parking spaces will be required for the existing and the proposed uses. 398 spaces are proposed. So the parking well meets the development code requirements. Design review and building permit review will be required prior to doing the development of this new building. And the recommendation before you with the ordinance includes the same conditions as the most recently approved plan development amendment back in February of this year. The Planning Commission heard this request at its April 6th meeting and recommended approval by a vote of 7-0. That concludes staff's presentation. Open to any questions, and the applicant is also here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Morris. Are there any initial questions of members of the council? Yeah, so as Mr. Morris mentioned, this item came before council on February 8th. And there was some slight changes to it, but we have a process that we go through for changing. And the council had directed so that the church could continue and move forward with their plans, but come back and actually alter the site plan. So that's what this action here would do today. So I went through all the public processes, the neighborhood meetings, certainly the good work of our Planning and Zoning Commission to come back with a recommendation of 7-0 to move forward. And so now we're here today to take the final action. Before I open the public hearing, any comments or questions? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this matter? Yeah, please just make your way to the podium, state your name for the record.
Well, I think this is very exciting, but I'm curious what age group they're going to be teaching. Is it going to be a religious school? Is it going to be K through 12? Are parents charged? Is it free to the public? Just some questions like that.
Sure. Yeah, so I don't know if the applicant would like to answer those questions. During our February meeting, it was indicated that it would be a K through 8 school. I don't know if the applicant would like to answer any further questions on those.
So yes, as you stated, a K through 8 school. Let's see. I think you asked, can anyone apply? And the answer is yes. Is it a religious school? Yes, it's a Catholic school. Although it's not open just to Catholics. It's open to anyone who wants a Catholic education. And is it free? It's not free, but we have very strong, very good scholarships, both through the state tuition as well as the generosity of many people, as well as the work of the families who are choosing to send their children to that school.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, would anyone else like to address the council during this portion of the meeting? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion?
Yes, Councilmember Lane.
I'll jump in since this is a long one. I move to adopt ordinance number 22-1286, approving a plan development rezone amendment, amending the approved development plan for 1975 Daytona Drive, Track 2313, Block 1, Lot 1, in the single-family residential plan development R1 PD district for a school building and multi-purpose facility with the following conditions. 1, the development shall substantially match the site plan approved. Let me put my glasses on. The site plan provided with the request. 2, the site is limited to those buildings shown on the site plan. 3, the new building shall be set back at least 50 feet from the property lines. 4, building height for any new structure shall not exceed 30 feet. 5, windows providing views of the abutting residential properties shall not be located on the northwest portion of the new buildings. And 6, design review for compliance with the development code and the conditions of this approval shall be required for the project prior to building permit issuance.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Lane and a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 8.4 is adopt ordinance number 22-1287, approving a zone change for 40 Retail Center Boulevard, Retail Center 2 Parcel B from General Commercial C2 to Manufactured Home RMH District. Mr. Morris.
Honorable Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Council members, thank you. Here's the subject property. It's about 18 acres. It's vacant and undeveloped. It's located west of Highway 95 on Retail Center Boulevard, a little south of the shops at Lake Havasu. The abutting properties to the north, south, and west are vacant. There's an electrical substation near the southwest corner of the property. And the property to the east, across Retail Center Boulevard, is developed with a boat and RV sales use. And there's city water and wastewater available at the subject property. As far as the zoning, the subject property and the properties to the north, east, south, and south are zoned general commercial C2. The property to the west is owned by the state of Arizona, is outside the city limits, and has a Mojave County designation of general commercial. Here's again an area map. On February 22nd of this year, the City Council approved a general plan amendment for the subject property to a medium density residential general plan designation. That medium density residential land use designation is appropriate for a manufactured home zoning, which is what this request is for. The applicant's letter of intent asks to amend the zoning from GC, general commercial, to RMH, manufactured home, to facilitate development of residential uses for the property. Specifically, they propose to develop about 150 homes with a mix of various sizes of manufactured homes that would be sold and then to an individual and then placed on leased land on the property. After this rezone approval, the owner may submit applications to develop the property. During the development process, things like water, wastewater, traffic, right-of-way improvements, drainage, and fire department access will be reviewed for compliance with applicable city codes. The Planning Commission heard this request at its April 6th meeting and recommended approval by a vote of 7-0. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is here and staff is here also for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Are there any questions of members of the council of Mr. Morris or the applicant? Yeah, Councilmember Lane.
Thank you. And the applicant is here? I do have a question.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Chris.
The question I have for you, we talked about this before, about CC&Rs on this type of property. I mean, I think it's a great business plan of, we have these types of properties all over the United States, and it's a really good way for people to get into a beginning house or their first home and into that market. My concern that I'm having is this is in our opportunity zone where there's only X amount of property, and there's a benefit to the property owner, so that also makes it better for you because you get a tax break on it after holding it for 10 years. But what I'm requested when we had the first meeting on this was in your CC&Rs, are you going to require that these be occupied and not vacation homes?
To be quite honest with you, we haven't explored that any farther than our last conversation. That once approval, that'd be something I would have to discuss with my attorney on how we're going to proceed forward with that. Obviously, we want this to be attainable to the city of Lake Havasu and be a good project. So we're willing to work, and we're already in that right direction, trying to get storage units off the agenda. So.
Yeah, we took care of that part. I just, like I had said, we talked about this before, and I was asking that before you came to this point, that you would have that done, that you were going to have CC&Rs in place before we went ahead and approved it. Because if we approve it tonight and you don't put the CC&Rs in place, we lose this piece of property in our opportunity zone where somebody could come in and build workforce housing for our people here in Lake Havasu.
Yeah, we haven't put any more effort into that discussion, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you. That answers the question.
Any more questions?
Yeah, are there any other questions? And just for the record, Mr. Stark, if you could give your name for
Chris Stark.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And then I believe I don't know if you're completely fully up on the opportunity zone, but the 10 years of not paying taxes is based on if you're rolling capital gains into buying this property, and that's not the case for me. So just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Dolan.
Mr. Mayor, I know we had a big discussion on this last time, and I thank those that are here at the meeting right now. A lot of what we do rolls over from one meeting to the next, and I appreciate those that show up. People also ask questions, why we do this, why we do that. Like I said, it's hard to answer it in one specific meeting, why we make a decision that's been made meeting after meeting. So I think this is one of those situations, and I'm trying to remember back to that meeting. The concern I have is affordable housing. We've said it before, I think it's kind of a myth. Anything we put out there that can be purchased, people from out of town are gonna buy it. And there's nothing we can do to put on the books that says, well, you can't buy a second home in Lake Havasu. We also can't discriminate on who can rent, who can buy. My opinion is if it's a rental, someone's not gonna wanna buy a one-year lease on a vacation rental. It's gonna go to people in the community that need to live. So for me, the big thing I'm looking for is rental properties. I do like this. I do think we need housing. But then it just goes back to that. Well, we get inventory. The more inventory we get, the better it helps the housing market. But I don't know. I like the idea of it. I think it's in a good location to try something like this. But like I said, I do have concerns that it's not going to solve any housing problems. It's just going to be bought up, and it's a great place to put your boat and come into town. You know, like I said, and Havasu has a great population of people that's literally what they do, and we survive on that. But there's that balance, and we're losing that balance right now. So Can you give us any information on what your demographic is, people you're looking to sell them to? You know, I am concerned that, because that's what we talked about at the last meeting, that might be something in the CCNRs to make us feel better that they were going to be rentals or they were going to be locals. But
sure.
Do you have anything else you can share us in that area?
I mean, I'm fully in agreement with you. We can't put limitations on who we can let buy these things or purchase or rent them or anything like that. I will be an owner of one of them as well. So that will be something of my concern, which we will have discussions with my attorney on how we can limit the amount of rentals, or if it's like a time, maybe it's like a 3-month or 6-month limited term that you're in there. But I don't think I can just fully come out and, because I don't know who I'm going to be selling to. I don't know who I'm going to be renting to. It's all speculation. The only thing that's set in stone is my price point, the high 2s, low 3s. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Also, just to remind people at home, vacation rentals is limited on what we can do at the state. The state basically has taken over and says you can't do anything to regulate vacation rentals. So it puts us in this situation where there's very little to absolutely nothing that we can do. And I think that's where people need to talk to their state representatives and demand that we get control back at the local level. I mean, after all, it is a Republican legislature, and they supposedly believe in local control and local decision making. So unfortunately, that's where the lobbyists tend to have a lot of leverage. Here at these meetings, open meeting laws, this is where we discuss this. This is a perfect example of where it needs to come back to city council, because our hands are literally tied other than just us begging a developer to only rent to locals. So I understand your situation. Like I said, this is what we're dealing with. So just my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mr. Stark, can you tell us what is your business plan? So, are these rentals? Are they?
No, they're going to be for sale.
For sale, and they own the land as well.
No, we're going to lease the land back to them.
Okay.
So it's essentially a space rent. They're going to own the garage as well as the 3-bedroom, 2-bath prefab home.
Mm-hmm.
So be on a foundation. They'll be able to have a normal mortgage for it.
And what is your time frame for someone to be able to live in the neighborhood? Pending a successful approval here,
we're hoping
the process. When will someone actually go home there?
Yeah, our rough idea is to start setting the first units in January of 23.
Okay.
So potentially we could have our first sales in February or March, because they are prefab, so they goes pretty fast. It's not a stick built. It takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
And your supply chain issue, you don't have any supply chain issues with the prefabs? We've heard some.
No, we've actually I've been in negotiation with them for the last 9 months, and I've been promised up to 10 a month. So.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, Councilmember Campbell?
Mayor, I just have a concern or question in regards to, this is a zoning ordinance change, and I appreciate all the questions that our council has in front of us today, but when are we going to start having more codes or zoning to be, if he promises, yes, you can have the zoning change today, based on all the questions you may have asked, who's going to follow through with this and make sure that these CCNRs or these HOAs are knocking on doors to see how many people? So I feel it's a little bit more government overreach at this point. He's asking for a zoning change. It's on him. It's a yes or no, I think, in city council. I don't really think that we want city government officials knocking on the doors of every HOA after we zone them and make sure that our HOAs are complying with their HOAs and CCNRs. Those are my concerns. I would love to hear from the current council on how you think that we can mandate or restrict or oversight of these kind of conversations.
Yeah. Councilmember Lane, did you want to?
Sure. Yeah, and so I can clarify what I had to say as well. You know, the way the housing laws work, you can't discriminate against who's renting or who's buying or anything like that. What I'm getting at is having CCRs in place like every other condo complex does, where what they allow. Some condo complexes allow rentals. If you turn every one of these into a rental, I wouldn't have a problem with that. What I'm suggesting is that there be a CCNR that they have to be occupied, say 6 months and 1 day out of the year. That takes care of people coming from out of state, buying it for a weekend home, using it once or twice a year, and it sits empty the rest of the time of the year, and there's another piece of property that our local workforce cannot rent. It's no different than any other HOA where they require 55 or older, or a condo complex that doesn't allow pets or Some of them don't allow rentals. Some of them don't allow short-term rentals. That's all done through CC&Rs. You can't do that legally I'm not going to rent to this person, I'm not going to rent to that person, but through CC&Rs, you can have, and when I say CC&Rs, for those that aren't familiar with the term, covenants, codes, and regulations that pertain just specifically to that piece of property. So that's what I'm getting at, and I appreciate the question, but I think it's important that we protect workforce housing. You know, as Councilmember Dolan said, we can't limit short-term rentals. That's taken away from us by the state. But what we can do when we approve these types of things is to have them have CC&Rs in place so that we are protecting workforce housing and making sure that when these projects move forward, that they have something in place for that. So that's where I was getting.
And I'm just worried about city oversight on this. I just think that we only have one code enforcement right now running around making sure that our codes are enforced. And for us to expect us to start knocking on the doors of every HOA and CC&R to make sure they're complying. I understand where you're coming with, but it's more of a property rights. And I believe this business owner, either it's zoned this way or it's not zoned this way, and then it's up to him to make it work.
Yeah, thank you. And when it comes to this, just for process, this will go through development services. So if we were to approve this with conditions, just like we did in the prior zoning item with several conditions on how the school site could be, we can put that together, and development services would through the building code. So those are the people that would enforce it. But it would depend on what conditions we're looking at.
So we're considering starting to govern CC&Rs and HOAs moving forward?
I think we're talking right now about a particular zoning issue.
certainly hope not.
I'm just talking from a process standpoint.
We'll have to hire a whole lot more staff if we're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think any of
Mr.
that's
Mayor,
happening.
well, I think that's a big step. I mean, local government does not regulate CC&Rs. It's a private issue. It has nothing to do with the city. So if they want to do a CC&R, we don't enforce it. We have no jurisdiction over that. So that's a private issue. So.
All right, is there any additional discussion before we open up the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing. We do have one gentleman that did sign up to speak. Mr. Is it Staben? Tom Staben? I think I'll pass. Okay. Would anyone else like to address the council on this item? If you just make your way to the mic and then state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Kelly Lutz. And I see a zone change like the previous one that benefits the city. So when I see this zoning change, I wonder, how is this benefiting the city and not just a developer? At the same time, a developer has a right to make money and develop his property, and he should buy a piece of property that's zoned the way he wants to develop it. I don't understand why the city continues to consider changing the plan, the retail zone in this case. And the other one was an industrial zone that we're changing the plan. It's a city plan. Someday in the future, we're not going to be able to use that for a retail area. And we're doing that for the benefit of a developer. And if it benefits the city and the people, I understand that zoning change. I don't understand the zoning change to benefit the developer if it doesn't help the city instead of cause chaos. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council on this matter?
I hope it's this matter. Hi, I'm Bonnie Toy. Not quite up to the microphone yet, but I'll get there. My question is...
Ms. Toy, just please wait for the microphone so those at home can be part of the conversation.
Hello, home people. I hope you have a lovely night. My question is, I heard Council Member Dolan say that, now I hope I'm going to say the words right, you're concerned about affordable housing and how does this help with affordable housing and how are these people or developers supposed to do something about affordable housing unless people speak up, and I don't know the answer to that. I just want to invite all those at home, remember to come to the city council meetings to speak up so your council will know that you want affordable housing. Another question was, my actual, I think, question is, sorry. The subject property is, when I'm coming down Highway 95 from the Glove or Michigan Rock or whatever you want to call it, the wave, will I come in and hit the London Bridge sign that says, welcome to the home of the London Bridge. Wait, welcome to Lake Havasu City. Will I see all the manufactured homes?
Yeah, this particular property is just down from Home Depot. So this would be after you pass the mall on your right-hand side.
So after I pass the mall on the right-hand side, then there'll be...
Yeah, it would be below Home Depot.
So that little thing right there on the white, on the bottom, that's Home Depot?
Correct.
Okay. So then he's going to be in the back.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Horizon Bank? That's Horizon Bank? Wow. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. So yeah, my concern was seeing it from the highway. Is it going to be like this huge lot of manufactured homes that you're concerned with everybody seeing storage units? Are you going to start being concerned about everybody seeing manufactured homes right front and center in the city? Also, I really do hope that you get affordable housing for people. It is really sad that I don't know how that works, but yeah, work on that.
Thank
Affordable
you.
housing stuff.
Would anyone else like to address the city council during the public hearing? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Moses.
I did kind of have a comment and or question. And I guess I didn't get my mute button unmuted in time before the last, because I wanted to ask the applicant if they planned on having a gated entry into this community. Is there going to be security within this community? Like Councilman Lane, I was a little disappointed not to see more of a business plan with CC&Rs done to see where we're going with this. Because in my mind, this could end up like of two things. It could be kind of like Los Lagos, where it's a great rental property, long-term rental income, or it could end up like the Islander. And if it doesn't have a guard shack and it doesn't have its own security, now it's just turning into a giant VRBO community that the city's now responsible for.
Yeah, Councilmember Moses, Mr. Stark made his way back to the podium, so if you can answer that.
Yes. So yes, the entrances and exits will be gated with a keypad. Obviously, everybody will have their own keypad. And back to your comment about the CC&Rs, we don't have a problem with doing a 6-month CC&R on this project if that's what's going to make this thing push through. I mean, it's about making you guys' city better. It's not just for the developer. Obviously, I'm here to make money, but I'm also here to better the city as well. And that's why I came to you guys the last time and said, my option initially was to do 300 storage units, which I looked at the business plan and it just made more sense to me to go the residential, bigger garage route. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, there is no security included in you're not going to have your own security within there, correct?
No, there's no security. There'll be cameras at the gate, obviously.
Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see some CC&Rs, but I guess my next question would be for Kelly Gary. Kelly, what does that look like if we ask for the CC&Rs to have a 6-month rental? How do we follow up with that? What does that even look like?
Mayor and council, unfortunately with CC&Rs, because the city's not a party to the private CC&Rs, there's really no enforcement mechanism for the city. So they're private CC&Rs, they can be amended anytime by whatever mechanisms they're created. And we really don't have any control over them whatsoever. And that's why we stay away from CC&Rs unless it's the city-owned property and we put our own CC&Rs on. If we want to put conditions on this property in some way, shape, or fashion, and I don't know that we could as far as restricting lease times, we would have to go through a plan development. That's how we put conditions on a rezone. But those are specific to, rezone conditions. I don't know what mechanism we could put in that would be enforceable under law that requires somebody to rent property for 6 months or 6 months and a day as a government. I mean, unless we own the property and we control it in that way, I don't know what mechanism we can require another owner to do that by. I mean, we can absolutely encourage them to do CNCNRs. We can tell them this is what we're looking for, and those that are interested in doing that in our community will do that and will follow through with that. But as far as the city enforcing it, I mean, this is something we've been looking into, we've been searching for. I don't know it under this type of scenario.
Yeah, and it's a really tricky situation. I could just see this many investors coming in there wanting to buy up all of those. I think it's a great model. It's a great thing this gentleman's bringing forth to us. I just feel like this is going to be a giant VRBO community that is going to tax our police and fire system with not actually giving benefit to our community.
Yeah, did you have any additional questions, Councilmember Moses?
No. So we don't have any plans for CCNRs in front of us today, correct?
No, nor is there a mechanism to enforce that.
To enforce it. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Lane?
Yeah, and I don't think we need to enforce it. I think what we need is a plan development that says that's what's going to happen. And that's what their plans are, just like when we have somebody come through the plan development and say, we want 47 trees between you and the street. That's part of a plan development. And part of the plan development here would be that they are going to have CCNRs in place to ensure that they just don't become vacation rentals. And some of us agree with that and some of us don't. And that's what makes us a good council. So thank you.
Yeah, so and to answer the question, Mr. Lutz, I believe, about the benefit to the city, from my perspective, increasing inventory opportunities of housing, and diversity of housing. So if it's manufactured homes, single family homes, apartments, condos, residential estates, is going to help with the supply and demand of our housing need. And we do have a housing need. And so I look at it from that perspective. Certainly, I would agree with some of my colleagues on the council that we would have the ability to ensure that's going to go to folks that are here, but fair housing laws and the like don't allow that. So that's my perspective of where I come from at this. So is increase the amount. Yes, if you make your way to the podium.
And Kelly Lutz again. I agree with what you're saying, and with what Councilmember Lane said. Why isn't it possible to be a partnership? Why doesn't the city take a partnership in that so that they are part of the CCNR? And I think I heard something about tax benefits that you were going to extend to this program.
No, it's a federal program and an opportunity zone that were designated one time across the United States under
so
one
back
piece.
to my statement. Can the city be involved in it? Can they be a partnership in these CCNRs so they do have a say in it, and then you can actually do something for the people and stipulate how it's going to be leased out and how it's going to be controlled? Why isn't the city taking part in that and taking part of the ownership of that?
Sure.
And
No,
control
I
it.
appreciate your perspective. We don't own the property, and it's not ours, and that's just not the direction that this applicant has gone. So, everyone has the ability to buy and purchase property and go through this process and this public process, and that's what we're here doing tonight.
Mayor,
Yeah, Councilmember Campbell.
I had the honor today of having a long conversation with Representative Biasucci today and the county, and how we may have to be looking at a situation of travel to it's affordable from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I heard there's some great developments out by Topok that's not very far coming into town. And just like I would like to live on the beach, sometimes I just can't afford to live on the beach. And so we in Lake Havasu City have a water issue. We have these things we have to worry about. And so I'd like to look at it as a drone's view, which means those projects are in the process of moving forward. But right now we have affordable housing or housing period issue in Lake Havasu City. And so these developers that have their hands in the permit process, I'd like to see them move along. But again, I agree with this gentleman here that even if it's as we drive to be affordable, basically, I would love to start protecting some of our commercial properties so that when the people come from out of town into town, work into town, heads and beds, I understand cost our community money, but this way we can generate a lot of revenues with our commercial properties. So we as a city have a huge responsibility to obviously protect our water rights. We have our responsibility to keep heads and beds, and we have responsibility to service everybody in the community. But I have great hope for some of the progress that's moving, and I'm sorry to say it's going into the county level. So I hope you guys understand. Maybe not everybody will agree with me, but we have our hands full with affordable housing in Lake Havasu City for sure.
All right, so I'll summarize a little bit of our discussion and see if we can't get to a decision. One, I just want to clarify that the applicant never made the term affordable. The only one saying the word affordable is members of this council. So I don't want us to think that in any way that was how this was sold to us. But back in February, we had an action in front of us, which is a general plan amendment. When we did that, that was basically the action that we gave this property owner the go-ahead to move forward to bring this rezoning case forward and go through planning and zoning. And obviously we had comments back at that time, but we did that action to do the general plan amendment to allow this to even qualify for the planning and zoning action that went in front of planning and zoning and is in front of us today with a 7-0 recommendation in favor of approval. We have had our public hearing, and at this point, unless there's any additional questions or comments of the applicant or Mr. Morris, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Dolan?
I'll say one thing and then I'll make a motion and we can put it up for a vote and see how it looks. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how this is going to play out. We keep using the word affordable. Maybe the word here is attainable. This is in a lower price range than what's out there, and it might be attainable for people to get into some housing. The problem is we just don't know. We also have a lot of other areas in town where people have tried to put in different areas, and we get pushback from the not in my backyard. So, I mean, without having that crystal ball, I think we do, I like the idea on paper. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think it's definitely something, it's in an area where this is kind of where it should go, in my opinion, in that zone area out there. So, this might be, I don't know. Like I said, we don't have a crystal ball. So, but with that being said, I will make a motion. I move to adopt ordinance number 22-1287, approving a zone change for 40 Retail Center Boulevard, Retail Center 2, Parcel B, from General Commercial C2 to Manufactured Home RHM District.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Dolan. We have a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-2.
Thank you. All right, item 8.5 is award the engineering architectural consultant master professional agreement for on-call services for the Lake Havasu City Airport to CNS engineers. Mrs. Roach.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The Lake Havasu City Municipal Airport is owned and operated by Lake Havasu City and is a vital economic and transportation node in our community. The city is responsible for funding and maintaining new and existing infrastructure at the airport and has successfully done so by obtaining assistance through the FAA Airport Improvement Program and grant opportunities. The item before you tonight is a 3-year term consultant contract for general engineering, design, and construction management services for airport capital projects that have been identified in the latest airport master plan. Public Works issued a request for qualifications to select a consultant for the engineering master professional services agreement for airport improvements. 3 firms responded to the RFQ, and after the selection committee reviewed the proposals and interviewed each of the firms, CNS Companies was the highest ranked firm. A few highlights of the projects they will be working on if awarded this contract would be the infill areas erosion control project, which will be starting this month. The runway strengthening and overlay project, opening bid soon. The safety obstructions project, which is to remove existing fire hydrants above ground and replace them with flush-mounted hydrants. And the replacement of the existing automated weather observation system. Each of these projects would be an individual task order to the Engineering Master Professional Services Agreement. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council for Ms. Roche?
Quick question, where's the funding source for this? FAA?
This is a master services agreement. Each task has a separate proposal, and at that time there's either a grant opportunity or funds that have been programmed in the capital improvement program.
Yeah, so every item under here will come back before council if it is over the $50,000 threshold. Otherwise, it'll come to council through the budget process. So if it's under $50,000, we obviously approved it in the overall budget. But anytime that it would be over $50,000 per vendor, it would come back in front of us for individual discussion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions, members of the council? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Please.
I move to award the engineering architectural consultant master professional services agreement for the Lake Havasu City Airport to C&S Engineers Incorporated and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement for a 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options for a not to exceed aggregate term of 5 years.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Lane and a second from Councilmember Koch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 8.6 is approve change order number 2 for the backup water supply well facilities project to Schofield Civil Construction LLC. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. We'll come before you today with a recommendation to approve change order number 2 for the backup water supply facilities project in the amount of $332,101. As just kind of a brief reminder of this project, I wanted to kind of give you a background review. Essentially, this project is part of an ongoing capital improvement project to improve the reliability of the water production in the North Well field. The overall CIP cost totals $6 million, with phase 1, if you remember, being the exploratory well phase, where we actually went out and drilled 5 separate well locations, and we picked 2, which happened to be within city parcels, which was wonderful. And then the actual drilling of the 2 wells, design and construction of that totaling 2.3, and then phase 2, which we're currently in, there's the well facilities, the design and construction, which is with the CM portion with Jacobs, is totaling $3.7 million. And this phase involves the construction of 2 new well facilities with site preparation, pumping equipment, and is contracted with Schofield Civil Construction Incorporated. Just as a reminder, well 22 is located there in the Public Works Maintenance Facilities parking lot, which is a little disgruntled for some, but not for us, because we know we can park elsewhere. And then we have well 23 location, which is within the water treatment plant. And due to materials equipment delays, supply chain issues, the project schedule for the well facility completion is being pushed out to the end of October. The city anticipates that we're going to see peak demands in July, and change order 2 accelerates the time frame for the well facility completion of well 23, which is there at the water treatment plant, the easiest one to connect to our transmission line and to utilize rental pump and motor to be put in place by mid-June. It also incorporates an airlift cleaning and development of the wells to clean, disinfect, and maximize the production of the wells prior to the pumps being installed, because the wells have been sitting for over a year, and this is something that we need to do. The total dollars being requested for change order number 2 is $332,101. That concludes, this picture here is a current picture of well 23 in the site. You'll see that we do have our generation pads, our electrical pads. We have the well casing pad there. We have not constructed the actual large pad yet, but that'll be coming once we get the piping in place. So, any questions?
Thank you. Are there any initial questions of Mr. Hart for any members of the council? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. And it does go to show that supply chain issues are happening to all of us. This should have been done much sooner through our normal course, but things are just not coming through the supply chain at a quick enough pace. So thank you for the ingenuity of your team to come up with some solutions to ensure that our residents are taken care of. So, all right, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment and say thank you for coming up with an alternative solution because of the supply chain issues. You heard me say this before. We don't have to look very far, just across the lake to see what happens when they don't take care of the systems that we have. And you guys are doing that, and you're being very proactive, and I appreciate that. So with that, I move to approve change order number 2 for the backup water supply well facilities project in the amount of $332,101.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Lane and a second from Vice Mayor Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 8.7 is approved cooperative purchases and annual expenditures over $50,000 for water and wastewater MRO parts and supplies with Ferguson Enterprises, LLC, DBA Ferguson Water Works. Mr. Fernando.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to request the Council to approve corporate purchase agreement with Ferguson Enterprises. This is for maintenance, repair, and emergency supplies for water and wastewater divisions. The water division uses a supply of various brass, copper, stainless steel fittings, and fire hydrants throughout the distribution system. Our stocks need to be replenished throughout the year. Our usual supplies didn't keep up with the prices, so we went to bids with a short turnaround time. No bids were received, perhaps due to increasing prices or changing prices. Ferguson is one of the suppliers in the past we used, and they already have a Arizona state contract. Therefore, we would like to use that contract to buy our supplies for the remainder of this fiscal year. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any questions of any members of the council for Mr. Fernando? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion?
Yes, please.
I move to approve the execution of a cooperative purchase agreement utilizing Arizona State Contract CTR 047692 through December 31st, 2022 with the Ferguson Enterprise LLC. Authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. Authorize city staff to execute additional renewal options to December 31st, 2024. And for the Water and Wastewater Division to exceed $50,000 in annual expenditures for parts and supplies as required for the term of the cooperative agreement.
Second. Third.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Campbell, a second from Councilmember Koch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. All right, item 8.8 is approved sole source purchases of various Pierce fire apparatus parts and accessories through Hughes Fire Equipment, Inc., exceeding $50,000 for fiscal year 21-22. Mr. Young. Oh, or Mr. Fernando, sorry.
Mayor and Council, I would like to introduce Bill Young. He's our new street and maintenance superintendent. And he's been with the city over 25 years. He has a lot of experience. So he's going to talk about the firefighting equipment.
Excellent, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to ask your approval on sole source purchases for our Pierce fire equipment for the parts through Hughes Fire Equipment. They are a regional authorized distributor, and we are approaching the $50,000 limit, so I would like you to allow us to exceed past that $50,000 limit.
Excellent. Do any members of the council have any questions for Mr. Young?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor Dolan?
Congratulations.
Thank you,
on
sir.
your promotion. How did you get to present fire department stuff? I'm confused about that gap. Is this now part of the street department?
Transportation and maintenance services. So I'm over fleet services.
I just want to make sure the chief's not bullying you in any way. So.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Quit
He's
picking on
standing
the rookie.
behind me after all.
Perfect. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And then just for clarification on we had a few of these items that we talked about, they went over $50,000. So these items are budgeted appropriately within the budget, but for any one vendor, we have to approve that through council. So we already knew these things were happening and it was happening through the budget process, but this is the formal action to allow that to happen. So this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this matter? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council.
Mayor,
Councilmember Koch,
motion?
please.
I move to approve the sole source purchases of various replacement parts and accessories as required for Pierce fire apparatus vehicles and equipment exceeding $50,000 for fiscal year 2021-2022 from Hughes Fire Equipment, Inc.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch and we have a second from Vice Mayor Dolan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Moses?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 9 is current events. Are there any council committee reports?
Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Moses?
Yeah, we're currently in the budgeting process for the PED. So we've been digging into all that good stuff. And we've really kind of put together a pro forma for the new nomadic workspace building that is being built up there in our main street district. So we're excited. I'd hate to put a date on that being completed because we're all dealing with supply chain issues, but we're looking really good on it and really excited to see that come forward.
Excellent, thank you. And I'll give just a quick update from the Mojave County Water Authority. We talked a little bit of water throughout this meeting. I would encourage anyone to attend a coffee with the mayor and city manager where we talk about these items more in depth about water policy and what it looks like, what the tier shortages are doing, what they're doing for Lake Havasu, how different reservoirs are treated differently and what that looks like. So it's very complex and certainly we'll continue to have that conversation, but we're focused on it as one of our top priorities to ensure our water futures going forward. Any other council committee reports? All right, item 10, future meetings on this Thursday, May 12th at 2022 at 9 a.m. We'll have a budget work session. That'll be here at the council chambers. Again, that's this Thursday, May 12th, 2022 at 9 a.m. And then our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, May 24th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday, June 14th, we'll have a regular meeting at 6 p.m. And that also will be our tentative budget and CIP adoption hearing as part of that agenda. Are there, item 11, are there any future discussion items? All right, item 12, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you for joining us and we'll see you next time. Be kind.